Hi everybody, this is Felix Sasaki. For people already on the GoToMeeting bridge, not yet on IRC, please join IRC with the information in the mail or what I just put into the chat. And then type present plus, so that helps us to have a record of the attendance. Thanks. And we will start a few minutes after the hour, just to give more people a chance to join. So then this time for the last time, welcome to the FREME webinar. If you haven't done so, please join the IRC channel, point it out in the GoToMeeting chat, and type present plus so that we have your attendance. And we're now going to start the webinar. The webinar will begin with first a presentation part and then a question answering part. If you have questions, please type them in the IRC chat, and then we can come back later to it so that we don't forget what you wanted to ask. Also, let me repeat that if there's something you don't want to have published, then please let us know during your questions or after the webinar, and we will take that out by making the webinar publicly available. I hope that's working okay for everybody. And then start the presentation. So I'm going to introduce you to the FREME project and framework, and the outline I will give you in a minute. You can download these slides here linked from the presentation also. And you can also download examples which are made available how to use this framework. So this is as background material then for later. So what will be the outline of this webinar? First, we will talk about FREME in general from a higher level perspective. The second part will be technical aspects of the FREME framework, going more into detail. And the third part will focus on applications built on top of FREME. And then we have a question answering session. I will make this presentation, but we have many key people involved in the framework on the call. So the question answering session then will be involving all these people. So first, let's start with a bird's eye view on what is FREME. FREME is Horizon 2020 Innovation Action, a project that started in February 2015 and will last for 2 years. So we are now in our second year. We have 4 industry partners leading 4 business cases around digital content and linked to our data sources. From a high-level perspective, we are bridging technology in the language technology area and in the data area. And the project also aims at outreach and business modeling, demonstrating how these technologies can help to make money in the multilingual data value chain. What is the situation in this area? There are various challenges and opportunities around big data sources. More and more such data sources are being created across languages, across sectors and domains. Here you see some sectors which are relevant in FREME, like the agriculture sector, certain data types which are relevant, like metadata, and some languages which are also covered in FREME. Not all languages which are shown here are covered, but for example, English and Spanish. In the industries, we are tackling the 4 business cases. There are various challenges. The 4 cases are digital publishing, translation and localization, agriculture and food domain data or metadata, and website personalization. And you will hear more details about these 4 areas later during the webinar. The current state of technical solutions related to these 4 business cases is that there are solutions in the language area, like machine translation, terminology annotation, or in the data area, like linked data creation or linked data processing. And the aim of FREME is to address various areas that hinder businesses, like there's a plethora of formats that needs to be processed. the adaptability and platform dependency is often a hindrance for using solutions. Many solutions cover not many languages. And what's a big problem is usability, in the sense that often solutions do not have the right tool available for the right person in a given and new enterprise. So the technologies also influence job profiles, and we also assume that FREME will lead to new job profiles in these 4 areas, business cases that we are tackling. So the general idea of FREME is to provide a framework for enriching digital content, making available technologies from the data side, like machine translation, terminology annotation, and from the data side, like linked data creation and processing. The framework itself is a set of interfaces, mostly software interfaces, as of today also to some extent graphical interfaces, which should help various people to access these technologies. The design is driven by the 4 business cases, so it's a very business-oriented project. And as a coherent approach, we have in the language technology and the linked data area assume various user types. So people who want to use enrichment technologies from a developer perspective, from a perspective of a content architect, content author, and so on. And the goal of the project is to make available for all these user types the right technologies. The goal of a project can also be seen business-wise. So there are various assets made available by the project. Starting here on the upper left, there's the framework itself. So the technological building blocks and the portfolio of the 6 so-called e-services. Then there's going to the right, the 4 killer applications developed in the various business cases, which you will hear about. When going to the left bottom, there's also a transfer of know-how about how the language and data technology should work together. And going to the bottom to the right, there are 4 business models about how to exploit the technology in the 4 business cases and how to expand domain-specific expertise to also new business models. So this was a high-level view on FREME, and let's now go into the second part, where we go into the technical aspects of a framework. So this webinar is very much focused on these aspects, looking into the registrations. We had the impression that this should be a focus. But if you have higher level questions, feel also free to ask them. So from a technical perspective, FREME is a framework for multilingual and semantic enrichment of digital content that provides access via a set of programming interfaces and graphical user interfaces to 6 so-called e-services. And here I just have a list of e-services. E-entity is for enriching content with information on named entities. E-link is for enrichment with linked data sources. E-terminology for detecting terms and enriching them with term-related information. E-translation for providing custom machine translation systems. E-internationalization for processing a variety of digital content formats. And e-publishing for exporting the outcome of enrichment processes in the EPUB format. So you may wonder from a practical perspective how to access FREME, this framework and the underlying services. There are various options. There is a live version. As of today, version 0.5 is available, here linked from the slides. There's a development version, where you also have the link. Whereas if you want to install this framework on your own, runnable jar file for all versions, also linked here. There's source code in a GitHub project. You will see that the development works in an open way, so that people from outside can see the development, comment and contribute. The framework itself is available under an Aperture 2.0 license to ease commercial use. The underlying services have various licensing conditions, you have to look into detail how they are. So design of a framework is as visualized here. Client, a piece of software making use of FREME, makes a web service request, and there's a module in FREME which evokes the actual e-service. Where from one perspective, two types of e-service. Ones are part of FREME server infrastructure itself, for example, e-entity. Others are provided externally, for example, e-translation or e-terminology. And there are supportive modules providing conversion of digital content formats or pipelining of services. For example, as you will see later, it's possible to have the e-terminology service followed by e-translation. This picture should show you that FREME is really a framework. It's not a platform to do this multilingual semantic data processing, but it's a set of modules. Modules which are partially part of FREME server itself, which are outside, and this should ease also extensibility, where already work has started into this direction, which you will see later. How does this modular approach work? It's possible because FREME is based on various standards from the so-called area of linguistic linked data, and other standards related to language processing were put into action in FREME. So there's the standard NIF, the Natural Language Processing Interchange format for representing digital content and enrichment information in a format agnostic manner based on the linked data stack. Whereas the OntoLex Lemon format for representing lexical information to be used for improving machine translation output, for example. There's the internationalization text set for representing various types of enrichment information in a standardized manner, for example, related to terminology or named entities. And there's the general linked data technology stack. FREME is built on the outcomes of other projects in the European 7th Framework Programme, which have pushed these standards forward, like, for example, LIDER and Falcon. Some of these standards are not standards in the formal sense yet, but FREME should also help to evaluate in which area is a need for formal standardization to make deployment also from legal aspects, so to say, safe. So we don't do live demos here, also to be safe in terms of timing, but we have prepared for webinar various examples how to work with a framework, and they are linked here from the slides. It's, as you have seen, web-based framework. So working with FREME means evoking HTTP requests. We have used Google Chrome plugin Postman to create these requests so that they can be evoked via the Linux tool curl or in the browser via jQuery. And in the file linked here, you will see various examples that show using curl or jQuery. So let's start with a simple example API call, how to call FREME APIs. This here is how such a call can look like. It can be analyzed like what's written here in the slides, and is also available in the set of examples. So a request is made to the API for the e-entity service, the service that enriches content with named entities. The input format of content is, in this case, just plain text, as made explicit by informat text here. The content to enrich is welcome to the city of Prague, here given as the input. The language of the content is English, as set by the English parameter. The data set to be used for enrichment is DBpedia.